There's one name on the Pittsburgh Steelers roster that I feel very confident in, but he's a name that I think at this point is a question mark to a lot of people, including those in the coaching staff and on the team. But man, I don't know. I feel real good about him. What's going on, everybody? I'm Noah Strackbine. Thank you for jumping on to Steelers to Go, your daily to go cup of Pittsburgh Steelers news and analysis. Find us on youtube.com/all Steelers talk and subscribe anywhere you get your podcast. Today, I'm talking about a player that I feel very confident in, that I think a lot of people at this point look at as a question mark, a guy that, yeah, he's got a lot of upside and he should play a role this season, but because of an injury last year, we don't know what to expect. And I think that follows suit for those in the coaching staff and on the roster. But at the end of the day, I don't know. I feel very good about a name like Calvin Austin. I think Calvin Austin is a guy that, yes, he's coming off a foot injury. A Liz Frank sprain is never a good injury to have for any position in football, but especially a wide receiver and a speedy wide receiver who relies so heavily on his twitchiness and his athleticism. But Calvin Austin is a dude that before that injury happened, and I get it, the injury has a lot to do with his future going forward in the NFL. A lot of guys don't come back from injuries like that. A lot of guys never see the field the same way after an injury like that because their athleticism, their explosiveness, their twitchiness, it's not the same. But if Calvin Austin can return to prime form, and last I talked to him, he felt very confident that he could. This is a guy that's coming off of 2,000-yard seasons to end his college career. He's got 22 college touchdown receptions and 3 rushing touchdowns. What I saw in training camp and OTAs and mini camp last year was a player who could play on the outside and the inside, and the Steelers love to utilize him everywhere. I still remember that one play where they threw a screen to him and he took off down the sideline in training camp, and it was like we were sitting there in a game. The crowd exploded instantly. That's the reaction that his type of play gets from the fans and from his teammates and from everybody on the field watching, because that's what he's capable of. I think what also helps is the fact that the Steelers planned for Calvin Austin to be coming off an injury. The Steelers have a very strict book of honor or code that they follow in this system. And it's that you have to earn everything that you get in this league and in this organization. They would by no means just put Calvin Austin on the field, no matter how much Omar Khan praised him during the NFL Combine, and say, hey, look it, this guy is our starting slot receiver. He will take all the reps. He has earned it all. Nobody can pass him up. What they would do and what they did do is say, hey, look, we have a hole here. Calvin Austin should be a weapon for us, but he hasn't played an NFL down yet. So we have to treat year 2 like year 1. And in year 1, this guy was coming off the bench behind Chase Claypool. That was the plan for him. He was going to be the second guy to come in on the outside and the inside and allow everybody else to move around. And I think this year, that's the same plan of attack. Let Allen Robinson start at the slot. Calvin Austin comes off the bench. He could play inside. He could play outside. He could bump Allen Robinson to the outside if he plays inside. He's an explosive option. I mean, that's as good as it gets, right? You put him in the offense and you put Calvin Austin out there and you allow Matt Canada to do so many things that I think he tried to do last year with a much less athletic offense. And I'm not saying that the Steelers offense got a ton more athletic or it upgraded speed in any way. I just say that Calvin Austin is the one piece to the puzzle that fits what Matt Canada was trying to do last season with unathletic guys. Instead of Chase Claypool taking end arounds and Gunnar Olszewski being the guy that ran the football as a wide receiver, you now have Calvin Austin, who's an explosive weapon who could get around the edge faster than anybody else on this offense, who could take those end arounds, who could take those handoffs or those little hitch passes from Kenny Pickett and make something happen with them, because he's done that in college. He has that experience. And I'm sure everybody has at this point. It's part of the football. It's part of the game of football. But nobody has the skill set for it quite like Calvin Austin does. And the Steelers last year, fans could tell you this time and time again, just continued to pound the table with running the football from the wide receiver position. And time again, it went nowhere because the Steelers had absolutely zero speed in any of their wide receivers. Steven Sims was probably the fastest guy on the field, and even him, not really that fast, not in comparison to what many in the NFL are. Calvin Austin, on the other hand, well, yeah, he's as fast, if not faster, when fully healthy, than almost anybody in the NFL. But I also expect him to be a weapon for Kenny Pickett. I don't expect him to just be a, hey, catch screen passes and take off, handoffs from behind the line of scrimmage, or any of these very short passes and just utilize his speed. I fully anticipate this guy to do what he did last year in training camp and show that at 5'8", 5'9", however tall he is, he could go up and he could catch passes with ease. He plays big man football in a little body. Me and him had that conversation more than once, and he smiled every single time that I said the word big man football in a small man body. He was all about it because that's how he plays. He understands his size limitations. He understands the body and the gifts that he was given, and there's nothing he could do about it. Anybody walking, I mean, I'm walking around 5'8". I got a sponsor that's a shoe that makes you look taller because everybody knows that I'm a short guy. It's what it is, man. It's what the universe blessed me with. Calvin Austin looks at it the same way. He looks at the entire situation and goes, hey, what am I going to do? Get taller? No, I'm just going to have to play more physical, have more hops, and be able to out jump and out muscle a lot of guys out there. And let me tell you, last year in training camp, this guy did that time and time again. It was so impressive to watch a guy under 5'10", probably under 5'8", go up and body these bigger cornerbacks in Pittsburgh and just say, hey, look, I could play the outside. You need a jump ball? I could go get that jump ball. Is he going to win all the time? No. Is it going to be utilized? Yes. Is this guy going to have an opportunity to make some splash plays and some contested catches? Absolutely. And is it something that the Steelers desperately need from more players? 1,000%. There are a lot of names I expect to have big year twos. I expect Jaylen Warren to play a pretty significant role this season behind Najee Harris, and those two to really develop into a 1-2 punch for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I expect George Pickens to become the superstar that he started to show last year with the Steelers and really fully form into one of those dominant wide receivers in the AFC North. I 100% expect it. I expect Pat Freiermuth to have a significantly better year than he's had in the first two of his NFL career, because for the first time, he's allowed to actually play his Travis Kelce-like pass-catching tight end position instead of having to just be a Pittsburgh Steelers traditional tight end, which is not what he is. You bring in Darnell Washington, Pat Freiermuth immediately is allowed to do his style of football, which he plays better than most people on a football field. I expect huge years from so many people. Deontay Johnson is not going to go scoreless in another NFL season. It's not going to happen. He'll have a bounce back year because his quarterback will be 10 times better. And Kenny Pickett, again, probably tops the whole list of the most improved player on the Steelers offense. The player that anybody should expect to have a big year, it should be Kenny Pickett. But Calvin Austin coming back from an injury and getting to sit there and getting to watch for a whole year and learn and take that in and deal with the pain and the sorrow, I guess, and the frustration of not being able to play as a rookie after an impressive mini camp and an impressive OTA section and an impressive training camp. To not be able to play from the day before your first NFL preseason game to get hurt and then you not step on a field again for the whole year. That sits in you, that eats at you, that plays a huge role in your determination to get back. And the last time I talked to Calvin Austin, he told me, I'm getting back at it. We back out there. We grinded. I said, that's great to hear, man. Calvin Austin is a dude that if I'm looking at the Pittsburgh Steelers offense this season, I'm feeling really good about the guy that a lot of people are going to sleep on in other organizations. I'm feeling really good about a guy that those first couple games of the year, everybody's just going to say, well, he was hurt last year, so we don't have the film on him and we don't know what to expect. I'm feeling really, really good about Najee Harris and Kenny Pickett and Pat Freiermuth and Deontay Johnson and George Pickens and Darnell Washington and Allen Robinson, all taking attention away from a guy who is going to be a sleeper who the Steelers wanted to use as a secret weapon last year, and now they have even more talent to hide him this year. I'm feeling real good about what Calvin Austin brings to the table in 2023.